And hello, you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about Stranger Things Season 5, Episode 1. After 3 very long years, we are back. We are back to Hawkins. We are back with the entire gang. And we are back to this show with full spoilers. Going to be reviewing each and every episode with full spoilers. So please have watched that episode first. Don't want to do this as a giant 4-hour binge review. These are almost feature-length episodes, so I want to review them as they come out, episode at a time. I wish this show was coming out weekly, episode at a time. We'll talk more about that in the review. This is going to be a spoiler review, but if you are new to this page, I cover movies, I cover TV, and I cover lots and lots of comics. I love this show because it's nerdy in a way that I am not as invested in. I don't know Dungeons & Dragons nearly as much as I know comics, but as someone who loves, lives, and breathes comics, it is so cool to see a nerdy show give me a different fandom, give me a worldview into Dungeons & Dragons by way of this show, into 80s horror, lots of things that I really enjoy. But if you want to see comic stuff, movie stuff, TV genre stuff, hit that subscription bell. Also press a like on this video and also leave a comment. I want to discuss Stranger Things. This is the final season. This is us coming together as a community to discuss this show that has been a zeitgeist shift for streaming, that has changed Netflix, that has changed TV, and they're giving us this final season with feature-length episodes. Let's talk about it. Okay, so first of all, it feels so good to be back. I love that after 3 years, the show is doing a really good job, both incorporating exposition moments to catch us up, to make us familiar, really good exposition from the radio broadcast perspective. That's a really great way to catch us up on what's happening in Hawkins, but also catch us up on the characters and what they're going through. And I think it's a genius way to have all of these different teams kind of spread out and how they'd communicate. So it does a narrative purpose. It is serving the audience. It's also really good exposition. Really enjoyed the opening of the show. But what I'm really most impressed with is that it is using that same weaponized nostalgia, but in almost a more endearing way. I don't know, every season has the moments of, oh my God, I remember that thing, or that reminds me of my childhood, sure. But now that we're 5 years into the show, 5 seasons of the show, but 10 years into it airing, we're up to 87. And there's so many familiar elements, but I'm loving how they're using them in storytelling ways, like using a light bright to show the Trimmers before a Demogorgon at the end of the episode, to use a Radio Shack as a way to have Hopper break in. It feels, and maybe it's because I haven't seen the show in 3 years, but it feels so like a love letter to the time, but much more narratively driven than most people that use nostalgia. So this weaponized nostalgia, I think, really works. And another thing I've noticed about this season that I hadn't noticed since probably season 3. So season 4 it threw me a little bit. Season 2, I certainly had this problem. The way the cast is united feels so good for a show 5 years in. 5 seasons into a show, usually there's so much to the budget, there's so much to runtime, there's such a big cast. You don't really get to see the cast together that often. And this show is able to have these giant team-up moments, and then when they split off, it feels natural. I think this is the most we've seen in an episode 1 this big of the team. This show started with 4 kids on bikes, and that is still an element. I loved when they get to see that little group gather together. But it's also the supporting cast. Joe Keery was supposed to die. Steve Harrington was not supposed to make it out of season 1. Now he's so beloved because of his relationship with Dustin, because of his relationship with the other members of the cast. So to see the different pairings, the different groupings, and all those things, I think this episode really showed the power of the cast dynamic with each other and one-on-one versus 1-on-5 and 1-on-10. The ensemble's just as strong as the individual, and I think that's really impressive casting, that's really impressive writing, that's really impressive storytelling. So I'm really impressed with all that going on. Let's talk about individual characters for a moment. So team dynamics great, use of nostalgia, which Stranger Things is known for, great. Horror, very effective. Demogorgon looks great. Really enjoying the throwback moments to VHS era 80s horror. All of those things are very Stranger Things. But individual characters, I do want to say Dustin, I think is if not my favorite character. I think Steve Harrington is, but Dustin is my favorite of the core. And I love to see his character get the trauma of what happened to Eddie. I feel like it's a very natural place for him to come back and be even more of an outsider. And I really like that they're painting him as one. The long trench coat, the Judd Nelson kind of vibe he's got going on. But that feels very lived in and real. And that kid's such a good actor, man. He's a good actor in himself. But the writing here feels like a great place for Dustin as a character to come back from season 4, and I feel like it makes him a much more dynamic character with the other 3 going through their own stuff. Lucas also with his, jock moments and his not being part of the cool club anymore because of a choice to be one of the Hellfire. That really works for me. I really like his dynamic. I really think he'll be an essential part of where we go, bringing back characters that are right now in comas and certain things. I also think Finn Wolfhard, he is going to have the leadership arc. I think that everything going on with Holly is very interesting. I think seeing Holly get that D&D swear-in moment is going to tie into a lot this season. I love that they're using all the D&D language and they're making that a key part of the dynamic of the show. That's how the show started. I really love that it feels like a beautiful bookend is forming. I really think that the show is going to give us these amazing moments with each character, but I'm curious who makes it or doesn't, and that is honestly one of my favorite things of this episode. The stakes are high enough that I genuinely worry about everyone. This is the final season. I'm like, does Hopper bite it? And it could happen in the first arc of this show. I assume there's going to be something episode 4, which is almost feature length. It's actually Disney feature length. It's like 86 minutes. It's an animated feature length movie episode. And then the finale is like a 3-hour Lord of the Rings epic. I don't know the actual run times, but I know these are all very long. But I was very intrigued to see that episode 4 was the longest of this block. I'm really curious if one of our core cast members dies as early as the first block to give us a cliffhanger to get us through to Christmas. And then at Christmas, does that block end with someone else going? And I do feel the stakes of each character that someone might die at any given time. More individual character highlights. I love Robin, the Rock and Robin thing. I talked about it as a narrative choice, but just portrayal. Maya Hawke is so charming. She's so interesting. I do love the relationship they introduced right at the top here. I love Will's reaction to it. I feel so real, and I think they need to make sure Will is more than just fainting and Demogorgon, like, eye-seeing. I feel like as much as an 11 Vecna dynamic is going to be important, I think there's going to be a Boy Who Lived dynamic that's important as well. I think we're really going to get some Harry Potter out of Will Byers, and that connection seems essential. So I'm glad they're giving him moments like he had with Robin to do more than just be like, oh no, I'm always struggling. So that dynamic I'm very intrigued by. But Robin, I really am curious what level of leadership she takes on, what level of playfulness, because they're giving her so much. And Maya Hawke as an actress has grown, in the public regard and as an actor in the last few years. So I feel like she's going to be very essential. Seeing the relationship with the eldest Byers brother, his name escapes me right now, and the pretty girl with the crazy 80s hair, that intrigues me, and I'm sorry I forget their name. There's a lot of characters in the show. It slips my mind right now. I love the show, but it's escaping me. That dynamic I think is intriguing with the, obviously, race to the top of the tower. Seeing that Hawkins tower be used as a narrative function and a challenge, these two boys being teenagers, being young adults, for a girl's affection, but actually using that tower, which we've seen as lore, as merch, as so much of Stranger Things. I thought that was so smart and great world building. The threat of the military looms. We briefly met Linda Carter. Terminator. I adore this woman, so I'm very excited to see her as the big bad this season, because obviously it's not going to be Matthew Modine. I'm really curious what other 80s throwback cameos we get. I'm really curious who else, gets to develop in this show. Really impressed with episode 1. It is a big boy. It is a long hour, 10-minute episode. I think it accomplished catch up and launch, which is hard to remind us why we love the show, but also move us forward. I think it accomplished a lot of great exposition and intrigue. I love the mission element that the third act of that episode built to. We catch everybody up in the first act. We've got the building tension in the second. Third act, we go into this full-on, we're already in the underground. We see how long they've been doing this. We see the militarization. We see the training. We see that we've been going through. We see with 11 that there's been actual training, and I love that Hopper does know she beat the record but wants to keep her safe. That doting dad element, I love seeing him with Winona. Very cute. Everything's working for me. I do find the 3-year gap is making me very aware that I'm feeling two ways about the show. I'm feeling like, man, it's good to be back, and man, it's been a while. And I hope that, a few hours into this 12-hour season, I can stop thinking about how long it's been. I can stop being aware of the weight of the 3 years of everyone's, the kids who age. These 11's married. She has a kid. I'm hoping we get to get that uncanny valley of like 3 years in all of our lives past, and it's been months in the Upside Down. It's been months in Hawkins. So I think I'll acclimate, but that's my only real flaw so far, and that's nothing anyone can change. It's life. It is scheduling, it's budget, it's the world. So that's my only real thing so far, is adjusting to these guys older and adjusting to, it being 3 years, me remembering what happened at the end. I haven't rewatched these. I rewatched the pilot before this as like a fun way to see how long it's been. And then the show opened with Baby Will Byers, so that was kind of fitting. But yeah, I'm really digging it so far. I hope you enjoy this journey. I'm going to do these stream of consciousness thoughts and reviews for each and every episode. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscription bell. My first time covering Stranger Things, a show I love. My last studio had a big old Stranger Things piece of art. Don't on this magnet wall yet, but I probably will because I really love the show. If it sticks the landing, I think it's one of the great shows of all time, and I really hope it does. So stay tuned for my episode 2 thoughts and immediate review in an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's a long show. So I'm going to watch that. I'm going to do another one. We'll talk some more. But yeah, stay tuned, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Season 5, Episode 1. Are you enjoying the catch-up with everyone back in Hawkins? Are you appreciating all of the little moments between cast, these chemistries rebuilding, and then the big ensemble dynamic? Very impressed with all that. The needle drops have been great. It's all the things I want out of 1987. So I'm an 88 kid. We're about to catch up to when I was born, and that is fascinating to me. So yeah, leave a like in this video, leave a comment, subscribe. I will see you for episode 2 in a couple hours, or if you're watching this not immediately, probably right now. So check. All right, bye y'all.